Saturday Social, brought to you by EA Sports FC with PlayStation 5.
We're talking this week about informed wingers. We're having this chat. There's a lot of greatly informed wingers in the Premier League, blessed with so much talent, and it gave us an idea for the next feature, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. What we've done is we've asked each of our guests to pick the players that they think are the 10 best wingers in the league on current form. So the 10 best wingers this season, that has led to 14 names being produced. So there is some disagreement amongst the 10. There's also some disagreement in order amongst the 10. So we've got the 14 magnets in front of our guests on the table, and on the whiteboard, we've got 1 to 10. The guests are going to have to come together to put out an order that they believe is basically the 10 best wingers in the league right now.
Yeah.
Happy with that, everybody?
Yep. Current form, basing it on?
Current form, this season, OK? So who do you think should be at 10?
Well, there's 14 magnets and we can only pick 10, so should we just take Marcus Rashford out of here straight away?
Yeah, I think Rashford's been shocking this season. You know, he's been absolutely terrible. And we're talking about a guy, you know, brand new contract, relatively speaking, one of the highest paid players and one of the biggest clubs in the world. I don't think he applies himself in the right way as a footballer. I think his touch is still poor. I think he's plateaued in terms of his skill level, his ability.
His attitude.
Is he getting better?
He doesn't even look like he
Buvey,
wants
when you
to be
sent
there.
this list over, you had Rashford at 10. What's happened there?
Well, I'm
calling you out.
Between
He's
these two,
seeing
they've got
sense.
amazing football knowledge, and I'm listening to very intelligent people in the room. What can I say?
I know. I'm just going to stick up for Marcus a little bit here, because I know like he is out of form, and as a Manchester United fan, but I know he's out of form at the moment, a little bit low on confidence maybe, but he is so talented. So to say, yeah, he absolutely is. Last season we were talking about a player who scored 30 goals.
No, 100.
How many people on this table have even scored 30 goals in a single season?
That's a valid argument. Man United fans think he's world class. I don't think I think he's a good player. I think if United are going to win the league, they're going to need 2 world-class forwards, with Rashford being the third, in my opinion. He's not going to be the main man to lead you.
To put it in perspective, though, yes, it is on current form, but as you said, there was a period last year when you had the best goals-to-game ratio of any player. We've done a lot of features as well, actually, this season with players that have said toughest opponent. Carl Walker said it, Mickey van der Ven, William Saliba, all actually singled out Marcus Rashford as one of their toughest opponents. So we've got to give him credit where it's due.
Yeah.
Neve, where do you stand on Marcus Rashford, the form and also
in terms of current form, he wouldn't be in my 10 in terms of current form, but he definitely would be in my top 10 in terms of sort of looking at the bigger picture. I think the issue with Rashford's not a Rashford issue, it's an issue with United as a whole going forward. None of the United attackers seem to be able to score, get in the right positions, do the right things at the moment. But yeah, to discredit what he's done for years is quite bad, but current form, not.
OK, so you agree he's not on current form. So who would be 10 then? The 10th best Premier League winger on current form?
I think Neto stands out. I know he's had a recurring injury, which is really unfortunate, but he destroyed Man City when we played at Molineux. This guy, his ability, his pace, he is everything that I think people say Marcus Rashford is. His first touch is incredible. He links up play. He is a beautiful winger to watch. I'm surprised he's as low as 10, actually.
Yeah. He's actually got the most assists in the Premier League, more than any other player. Yeah. Which I think is a pretty incredible stat.
So would you have him higher?
Definitely higher than 10, 100%.
I'll float him back there if you want, then.
What do you think, Simon?
It's such a hard one, isn't it? Again, he is good, but then you look at who else is on the table. I'd be happy putting him at 10, to be honest.
2v1 then?
We'll allow you to move it around as well. As you go through, it can be quite fluid, I think.
Yeah.
So you can start by placing players, otherwise we're never going to come to a decision. So at 9, we can work our way up. Is there any names that you think shouldn't be on the table, Buvey, straight away?
I like Mbuemo, but not for me.
So that was your selection, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think for me, obviously, he plays a pivotal part of Brentford. FPL, he does well. He always picks up the points. Yeah. Personally, I think he has to be in the top 10.
Fair enough, yeah.
Six goals and 2 assists.
Yeah, did go for a little bit of a dry patch, though. But you've got to, I think, take into account with Brian Mbuemo is that no Ivan Toney, you know, it's a different shift-up of system in terms of the forward line as well, isn't it? So would you have Mbuemo in your top 10, Neve?
No, I'm a big fan of Mbuemo, but no.
Really? Quite central as well. He plays quite central as well.
There's better wingers.
I was at Anfield last week for the Brentford match and he looks well. And I just think, out of who's on that table, personally, I think should be in the top 10. OK,
so in terms of an agreement, Neve, where would you go next in terms of number 9?
Well, I would say Bowen, really, because I think he makes the list, but I wouldn't put him any higher. But he definitely makes the list for sure. And he massively suits West Ham's system. but also at the same time, he's so direct. He's just so lethal. Like, his finishing is, I think, it's really underrated. He almost scored that goal where he did and it hit the crossbar. But yeah, I think he's brilliant, and I'd be interested to see
8 Premier League goals already this season.
I would put him 9. Like, we've got Jeremy Doku on here. Like, listen, he's a great player. He's come in, he's sort of unproven, although I've got to admit he looks amazing, but I wouldn't put him higher than Jarrod Bowen, to be honest.
No, I put Bowen ahead of Doku, but I put both of them on the list. I think Bowen's even higher than 9, in my opinion. I think he's around the 6 range. I think if he's playing for a Champions League club, West Ham is a weird club because it's a massive club for the West Ham fans, really well-supported club. They never get the credit they deserve in terms of the players they have.
So you want Bowen at 6?
Yeah.
So around you'd have Doku at 9. You both happy with Doku at 9?
Yeah.
OK.
Yeah.
Should we do that?
Doku's been incredible.
Doku at 9
We're whacking Doku.
On 9.
Yeah.
Are you happy with that?
8th?
Because we could always move him around.
What are you thinking for number 8 then?
Yeah,
Jarrod Bowen?
I just feel a little bit sick because I'm watching Pedro Neto stay at 10 and putting all these players in, but we'll put Jarrod Bowen in there.
OK, so if Bowen goes at 8, you were saying you wanted him at 6. Who would you have had in the 8-7 slot?
Matoma for me.
You'd have him below Jarrod Bowen?
Yeah, I think Bowen is a little bit, that's just my opinion, a little bit higher than Matoma. Goes in around that 8th role. I think this season he's not, I think last season he set the world alight for a good 3 or 4 months. He was almost unplayable. I still think he's at that level, his pace, and he's a very smart winger. I think, the modern winger these days, back in 1999, you could lose the ball 15 times and get away with it. Wingers these days can't lose the ball, so if he can't beat someone, which he usually can with his pace, he will recycle possession. I think that's very valuable in a winger.
Matoma, I think.
Who would you two go? Matoma or Bowen?
I personally would say Matoma higher than Bowen because what I've seen from Bowen is how good he is in a system where West Ham have a bit less of the ball and he sort of uses his pace, gets in behind, gets into the box, sort of a bit like of a right forward, not a right winger. But Matoma, I've seen him when Brighton have had to play all sorts of different ways to go against the real top sides and the not as good sides. And I've seen a more all-round winger in Matoma, whereas Bowen, I think, is special at the type that he is. So I think
a bit more direct.
Yeah.
Technically, Matoma is so.
So you're going that way, then you're going Bowen at 8 and Matoma at 7. You happy with that, Simon?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
OK. Now we're moving up nearly into the top 5. I mean, we haven't talked about Raheem Sterling yet, and there's some big names to come. What are you shaking your head at? He's been amazing this season.
I love him to bits. He's had a really poor 18 months. He was barely starting for City when he left.
Been good. Or the last 4 months have been good of the season.
So you're not actually talking about. You're talking about one game where City Chelsea drew 4-4. He nutmegged Doku once.
I'm not.
People were tweeting me saying he needs to start for England. It was absolutely crazy. Football fans are very, very strange when it comes to some of these bigger name players. Raheem Sterling's had a really poor 12 months to his standards. He's a better player than I think he's shown Chelsea fans. He's had one good game.
Since Pochettino's come in, he's had more than one good game. I think specifically to the West Ham game where he was by far and away the best player on the pitch. There's been multiple moments where he's basically dragged Chelsea's forward line through disaster. I think in terms of hard work off the ball this season, he's put himself into incredible areas.
He's also had most opposition take-ons in the Premier League this season, 4th most successful dribbles, 4 goals, 1 assist in that Chelsea team. So the stats do back him up. Would you have him? Does he go for the Euros? A lot of people were very surprised that he wasn't in England squads.
No, he doesn't go for me to the Euros.
Doesn't go for you?
Because I think you need to. If this is Southgate's last tournament, I think the generation that got Southgate's success, Sterling was incredible in the World Cup in Russia in 2018. We're talking about a new manager needing
and
Cole Palmer.
Was our best player.
The Cole Palmers of the world need to get experience. I'd rather take Cole Palmer as a wild card all day long than Raheem Sterling.
Agree or disagree?
Yeah. Again, obviously, he's got a great career, isn't he? But again, Cole Palmer, I probably would take Cole Palmer. I'd agree with you there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Neve.
Big fat disagree. I think that's really, really bad. I mean, international managers often pick players they can trust.
He's been in the last 5 major tournaments for England.
He's a player that he can trust. And also in terms of this list, how can you I agree with Doku, but how can you say this whole thing about 18 months and how it's not enough, but put someone like Doku in, who we've just seen this season, he's exciting, but again, it's just a small sample size. But Raheem Sterling, who we know has hit astronomical levels, and he seems to be hitting them again, and he's thriving in this Chelsea environment.
A few months ago, Chelsea, before Spurs bottled it, with all due respect against Chelsea, before there's a 4-4, it was a draw, by the way. Chelsea fans were tweeting as if they'd won the game against City. It was a massive result for them in the last 2 years. Sterling before that, Chelsea were rubbish. They were mid-table, and Sterling was a massive part of
Sterling
that.
wasn't rubbish, was he? Sterling was playing really well.
Okay, not rubbish. That's a really harsh thing to say about him. Because I love Sterling for what he did at City, but his standards have not been good enough at Chelsea, and it's improved now.
So you wouldn't have him in the top 10 this season, Sterling?
Based on form, Doku's come in. I know we've got a very, very small sample size. This guy's... I saw him against Brighton at home. He was unplayable. Unplayable, lads.
Neve, where would you have Sterling? 6.
Yeah, put him next.
Simon, would you have him?
Yeah, again, I wouldn't put him in the top 5, but again, Mbeumo's still here.
You love Mbeumo, don't you?
Yeah, I know, but he deserves to be in.
Yeah, I do like him as well.
Yeah.
I'm looking at some of the names that are on the table.
I know.
I feel like you have stitched yourself up to a level.
He's not going to make it in the top 10 now, is he? Because we're up to 6. But I'd say that's fair to put him at 6.
Sterling at 6.
2v1, 2 of you having him. Let's put Sterling in 6
Put him
then.
up there for now.
Right, we now go into the top 5. Now, can I just read out, just so we know the names available, because they're not all going to make it. You've got Marcus Rashford, Brian Mbeumo, Luis Diaz, Martinelli, Salah, Saka, Son, Grealish and Foden.
Oh,
so
definitely stitched ourselves.
I can make it easy.
So there's 9 left, but only 5 can get on the board.
I don't consider him a winger. I think his total football players, he could play anywhere. He could play left-back, he'd be one of the best footballers on the pitch, Phil Foden. I'm happy not even putting him on the list because I don't think he's a winger. If you asked him, I think he'd say he's a creative player that plays on the wing. He's a midfielder by trade.
Neve?
Yeah, well
Yeah.
that's
Makes
quite
it
a
easier
nice
for us.
little way to make this a bit.
I feel like you are.
Yeah.
I feel like personally, let us know. But I feel that's a big cop-out, that.
Yeah,
That stinks of a cop-out.
Yeah. So talking of City players, Jack Grealish, let's speak about him. Obviously,
This
people
season.
are talking about game time with Doku and Grealish. I think the difficulty with Man City is they are blessed with so much talent in so many areas that you've got to be an absolutely astronomical player to get in any position for that starting 11. But where do you see the situation with Grealish versus Doku, and who would you play as a City fan?
Well, if Pep was sat here right now, this is the Champions League final tomorrow, let's say, against Team X, whoever it is. Grealish would start left wing every day of the week because of what he can do in terms of, we won the treble. He was the first name on the team sheet against Bayern Munich, against Real Madrid, against Inter Milan. He was honestly the first name on the team sheet because he's so important in terms of driving the team forward, keeping possession, working hard off of it.
This is based on form, and he started 3 Premier League games.
Sterling's on there. Raheem Sterling's on there based on a brand name.
No,
he's a big
based
brand
on him
name, so
being
Grealish has to go on there as
a
well.
consistent player this season.
If we're being completely pure to the last 12 weeks of form, then probably Sterling and Grealish don't get on the list. But if Sterling's on the list, Grealish has to be on the list.
Neve?
No,
Grealish?
Grealish isn't on the list. Grealish isn't on the list.
Not in your top 10?
No, not on current form. No, he's just not played enough.
Simon?
OK.
Again, he's on my list, and I think I agree with you in the terms of if Raheem Sterling's on there, how can Grealish not be on there? But equally, when we do look at current
form.
Yeah, when we do look at current...
No, we're talking about this season. We're talking about right now.
I don't think he's bad when he's not like by the way, everyone's saying he's now a bench, he's a sub for Doku. Doku's played a few more games than people gave him, would expect of him. Grealish is still playing games and actually playing very, very well, in my opinion.
So, in terms of number 5, who are you going with out of these names on the table?
I'd be happy with putting Grealish there.
You've got to be neutral,
So
mate.
2 of you on...
I love Jack, but this is on form.
You just want a treble, lads.
Okay.
You're agreeing? It's your list.
Go to your
Let's go for number 4 then. Who are we going with? Number 4. This is where it gets very interesting.
Are we allowing...
What's your thoughts on Luis Diaz?
Yeah. I think he's brilliant.
And
top 3 for you?
Yeah.
Top 3?
Not
Yeah.
top 3.
Yeah.
Top 3? Wow.
No, I don't. I think it's hard for the top 3. I think Diaz. I count the goal against Spurs. I know that they cheated him out of it, but that goal against Spurs, the finish was absolutely incredible. I count that in my memory bank of great goals.
Okay.
Well, I know everyone else doesn't. Wikipedia doesn't. But that finish, scary. He's an incredible player.
That was scary the way you said scary there. I was looking right into your eyes there.
Simon, where would you have Luis Diaz then?
Scary.
Again, I'd have him in top 3. I would.
Over Saka and Martinelli?
And Son.
Because there's a nailed on one. We could just skip ahead to one if we
just
want.
put
Well, does that not ruin the...
No, because you know who one is.
I'd agree. Is
Are we
Salah
all
not...
in agreement?
Yeah.
Salah's one, yeah.
But we've spoken about in terms of he's number 1 in current form, but we alluded to it earlier. In terms of greatest ever wingers in the Premier League, where'd you put him?
He's top 5 or 6.
Come on, Boo.
Yeah, he is. No, he is. He's won 1 Premier League title. I think in terms of individual incredible performances in a season, I think Gareth Bale at Spurs had a better season individually in terms of pure talent. Ronaldo, I think, Ryan Giggs. I don't think Salah's number 1. No way.
Simon?
I think he is number 1. Again, just look at his stats.
But he won the league title. It was the COVID Cup. I mean, there was no one in the stadium to watch him lift it. It wasn't the most incredible Premier League win of all time, with all due respect.
No, I don't.
Ryan Giggs has got, how many titles has he got? 13 titles? No,
13.
13 titles.
Do they not count then? They just don't. We're not counting Premier League titles just because, there was nobody in the stands.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, when we talk about footballers and we're talking about the big, beautiful Hollywood moments of the sport, Salah hasn't quite got the same legacy as Cristiano Ronaldo, as some of Gareth Bale goals. I don't think he does have that legacy in the Premier League compared to those.
He's Liverpool's top Premier League goal scorer of all time.
Yeah,
that's legacy for you. 147 goals.
I'd say right now he's the best player in the world right now on form. But we're talking about the.
And you probably could have said that multiple times. He could have arguably won a Ballon d'Or.
David Beckham's got a better legacy in the Premier League era. David Beckham, definitely.
But how can he not have a good legacy if you're currently admitting that he's the best player in the world, and then in previous seasons he's scored more, he's broken records, he's got golden boots? How can we not say that there's a legacy created there?
There is a legacy. It's just not the best legacy in the history of Premier League football for a winger. No way. It's top 5 maybe, but it's not. I mean, we're talking about what Cristiano Ronaldo did going to Real Madrid. Before that, £100 million they spent on him. The goals, the quality of goals. Then he wins multiple league titles. Then he wins Champions Leagues with Man United.
Either way, we're talking about current form.
Exactly. We asked about current form.
Let's bring it back to
we all agree
today.
number 1. So do we go 4-3-2 then?
And you've
number 4. Go on.
I just want to bring up Heung-min Son here because are we counting
surely
Son
Son's
as a winger?
top 3, right?
Do you count him as a winger though? Because Andrew's made it very clear he's playing him through the middle.
Yeah.
Well, he plays as a false 9, but he has played as a winger as well. To be fair,
he pops up in those positions, doesn't he?
Son's in your top 3, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
8 Premier League goals,
we've
1
got
assist.
4 for 3 spots.
Right.
Yeah, I'd get rid of Martinelli personally.
What, he wouldn't be in your top 10, Booth?
I'm looking at based on form. I wouldn't have had Sterling in. That's just my shout.
Yeah.
But these 3 all have to be in there.
So you have to have Saka, Son, Diaz.
Yeah, and for me, Saka's number 2. I absolutely love everything about Saka.
Top player.
He applies himself so well. He carries Arsenal on his shoulders for the last 4 or 5 years. He's so young to be playing the amount of football matches he plays for such a big club, and then his standard never drops.
Saka 2, current form, 4 goals, 4 assists. OK, put him in. And then you go in. Did you say Son is 3? Did you
I would say so.
OK, so Son is in 3. Heung-min Son on great form as well.
Neve,
8 Premier League goals, 1 assist.
Neve's shaking her head.
I'm not. I feel like I've lost complete control.
You wouldn't have
of the
Son in your top
situation.
3. He scored 8 Premier League goals.
He's not a winger.
I agree, Neve. He's a striker.
literally not a winger.
I agree.
You made it easy
Your
for
top
us with the
10,
Foden situation, but Foden's more of a winger than Heung-min Son.
That is true. I'll put Foden in instead if you want that.
No, but you can't now.
You've got 1 spot for it's between Diaz and Martinelli.
Well, how about this?
You want to?
OK, let's say Son's a number 9, so we take him out.
You've got to have Son as he plays as a wing. He
When did he
either
last play
plays
as a winger?
as a false
When?
nine, but that's because of a lot of injuries as well. He's played as a false 9
It's
or
on
on the
form
wing.
though, isn't it?
For a whole season, he plays out wide.
Son
Kane
as a
plays down the
winger.
middle.
If you put him as a winger tomorrow for a Spurs
he
game tomorrow,
doesn't play.
he'd be world class.
Yeah.
He doesn't play as a winger.
So who are you putting us for then? We've got 1 spot to.
Luis Diaz for me.
No Martinelli on the
not even
board.
not-
No, I'm not. Listen,
So
I'm
one
not.
thing we can say is the 6 to 10 they're allowed to rearrange.
Yeah,
right?
let's change.
Are we all happy to put Diaz up?
Of course, what a player.
So are we? You're not including Foden, and you're not including.
Let's get rid of this guy. Come on, I love him.
Let's swap him. Let's swap
Neve,
him.
get control of this.
Can we not? Is there not a possibility of removing Jack Grealish?
No, I've got to hold on to Jack Grealish. I'm a big fan. I love him to bits.
You can't. You just cannot.
I'll give you one of these lot. Have one of these guys on this side of the board.
Grealish in or out?
City.
You're having him in. Neve?
If you have to take someone from the right side of the board out because you have to put Martinelli in,
OK,
this is totally disrespectful not to.
Why don't we push it all back and take Doku out?
That'll just take.
Yeah, I know, but listen, he's
Need to make a decision.
If we
I would.
have to-
I'm happy to take him out.
Yeah, it's
you
going to
happy?
have to be Doku.
OK, 2v1. The board has spoken. So Martinelli is going in at 9. A lot of changes going on here, by the way.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
And Neve
are we
is
moving
putting-
them all down
just
and
to
then
clarify-
putting Martinelli in at 5?
Yeah.
How long is
You
that
can
going to
make this
take?
happen in a quick time.
OK.
It might take me...
As quick as you can, please, mate.
Probably need to go
Arts and
quick.
crafts.
We are live.
By the way.
They're moving all of them down. Right, so just to confirm, we've got Pedro Neto in as number 10, Bowen at 9, Mitoma at 8, Sterling at 7, Grealish at 6.
Yeah, I'm glad.
The top 5 best wingers, according to our guests, is Martinelli at 5, Diaz as 4, Son as 3, Saka as 2, Salah as 1. That is confirmation. Let us know what you think at home about that. And be honest. Joe, you're not happy?
It's current form.